Hello all, this is Karthik Katik and today's topic in this session is multi-threading in Java. Multi-threading in Java. So, what is multitasking? We all are familiar with the term uh, multitasking. Multitasking can be achieved with the two processes, that is, first is process-based and the second is thread-based. Process-based multitasking is known as multiprocessing and thread-based multitasking is known as multi-threading. So, what is multiprocessing? Multiprocessing is a process in which two or more processes run concurrently. A process, in essence, a program that is executing. Thus, process-based multitasking is a feature that allows your computer to run two or more programs concurrently. And now, what is multi-threading? So, in a thread-based multi-threading environment, the thread is the smallest unit of dispatchable code. This means that a single program can perform two or more tasks simultaneously. For example, a text editor can format text at the same time that is printing as long as these two actions are being performed by the two separate threads. Thus, process-based multitasking deals with big picture and thread-based multitasking handles the details. Also, multitasking threads require less overhead than multitasking process. Multi-threading is cheaper than multiprocessing because inter-process communication is quite costly in multiprocessing, while multi-threading requires inter-thread communication, which is applied by the OS and is cheaper than inter-process communication. Also, threads are stored at a same location, so uh, the processing is quite efficient in multi-threading process. Now, what are threads in Java? A thread is a lightweight subprocess, a smallest unit of processing. It is a separate path of execution. Threads are independent. If there occurs exception in one thread, it does not affect other threads. It shares a common memory area. A program can have one or more threads. Now, this is a diagram which is showing uh, multi-processing and multi-threading together performing in via OS. ठीक. So these process 1, 2 and 3 this is done by multiprocessing while a process 1 can have one or more threads which are T1, T2 and T3. So a process can have multiple threads and OS can perform multiple process and together they perform multitasking. Up now, what is life cycle of a thread? A thread in its life passes through different states. These states are known as new, blocked, runnable, terminated, timed waiting, and waiting. So, a thread starts with the state that is known as new. A thread that has not begun execution is comes under this state, and with the process and with the method start this and with the method start a thread start running. Now, then it arises to the state runnable. And what is runnable? A thread that either is currently executing or will execute when it gains the access to the CPU is under the runnable state. And at this state, a thread can either move to the termination or it can be blocked or can be put for waiting or timed waiting. So what are these blocked and waiting or time waiting? So, blocked. A thread that has suspended execution because it is waiting to acquire a log comes under the blocked state and timed waiting. A thread that has suspended execution form a specified period of time, such as when it is called sleep method. This state is also entered when a timeout version of wait or join is called. And waiting. A thread that has suspended execution because it is waiting for some action to occur. For example, it is waiting because of a call to a non-timeout version of wait or join. So in general, a thread passes through new state and here it calls the method start, which start the execution of the thread. Then it arises to the runnable state, where it is either put by the CPU for the execution, or it is set as in a ready state by the OS, whenever by the OS, so that it can further run. At this time, at this time when the thread is at runnable state, it can either be blocked or can be put or for waiting or timed waiting states. It is blocked when one thread tries to access for the CPU while the CPU is already busy for execution of another thread. So this is automatically putted in the blocked state. And what is waiting or timed waiting? Whenever the CPU is busy in executing the another thread, then and when a thread start to gain this access of CPU at the same time, then the thread that want the access of the CPU is put on wait by the thread that is already executing at that time. So, and timed waiting means the thread has suspended its execution for a specified period of the time. Whenever a thread passes from all these states, it enters to the terminated state. Terminated state means the thread is dead, and this is performed by the terminated method. Now, what is thread scheduler in Java? There are multiple threads in a single program, so its scheduling is needed. So thread scheduler is a Java is the part of the JVM, Java virtual machine, that decide which thread should run. There is no guarantee that which runnable thread will be chosen to run by the thread scheduler. Only one thread at a time can run in a single process. The, but the threads run concurrently. The thread scheduler mainly uses preemptive or time slicing scheduling to schedule the threads. Now, what is the difference between preemptive scheduling and slicing scheduling? Under preempting scheduling, the highest priority task executes until it enters the waiting or dead states, or a higher priority task comes into existence. Means a thread with a high priority is now executing in the CPU. Whenever another thread wants the access of the CPU, or whenever a thread with the higher priority than the currently executing thread comes into existence, then then the execution of the prior thread stops. And under time slicing, a task executes for a predefined slice of time and then re-enters the pool of ready tasks. The scheduler then determines which task should execute next based on the priority and other factors. Now, how to create a thread in Java? There are two ways to create a thread: by extending the thread class and by implementing the runnable interface. A user can opt for any of the step in these options. It can either extend the thread class, and he or she can either implement the runnable interface. So what is a thread class? A thread class provides constructor and methods to create and perform operation on a thread. A thread class can extend objects class and implements runnable interface. Commonly used constructor of a thread class are, it has the four type of constructor. Mainly basically used constructor is this: thread, runnable, R, and string name. Here R is the object of the current R is the current object, or this can be said as the object in execution. And string name, here name is the name of that thread. Runnable interface. Runnable interface should be implemented by any class whose instances are intended to be executed by a thread. Runnable interface have only one method named run. Public void run is used to perform action for a thread. Now, taking example of how to create a thread by extending the thread class. Program thread extending thread class. This is a general program, basic program of creation of a thread extend with the help of extending thread class. So it includes the first of all we have to create main functions. Main function. This is the main function in which I am creating an object of the main class, creating an object of main class, and then I am uh, extending, and then I am calling the start function to run the thread. Now in now I have to then start passes the control to the run method. Means start method is used by a thread so that it can pass the control to the run method, and the run method then start executing the and start running the thread. So what should be under the body of run method? It is whatever you want the program, whatever you want from the thread to be done. So this is the body of the run method, and when I start this program running, the output is this: thread is running. So how the control passes from how the control passes within this program? First of all, this is my main class use multi-thread, which is extending to the thread class. I am creating an object of my main class, and then with the help of this object I am invoking the start method, which further passes the control of the CPU to the run method, and this run method will start my thread to running. And this is the body of my running method, which is printing on the screen that thread is running. This is my general program. uh, with This is my general program in which a thread is created by extending the thread class. Now this can also be done, this process can also be done with the help of implementing runnable interface. By implementing runnable interface, so what I need to do is simply implement the runnable interface here. Now this is my main function. In this I have created I need to so by implementing a runnable interface, first of all I have to create a thread object in uh, this in this program. By implementing the runnable interface, first of all what I need to do is I have to create a additional thread. I have to create an object for the thread interface or thread class. So I am explicitly creating a thread class object here, and then passing my the object of my main class in the constructor of thread class. Then with the help of the object of thread class I am invoking the start function, and then the start function will further pass the control to the run method. So let's run this program. The output is thread is running. So in runnable interface, the major difference is that we have to explicitly create the object of the thread class to further for further creating the thread of the main class. Now How to start a thread. So start method of a thread class is used to start a newly created thread. It performs the following task. A new thread starts with new call stack. ठीक है? The thread moves from a new state to the runnable state. So the control passes from the start function to the run method. When the thread gets a chance to execute, it targets run method, and the run method will further run. Now, what is the priority of a thread? The priority of a thread or thread priority means each thread have a priority. Priorities are represented by a number between 1 to 10 in Java. In most cases, thread scheduler schedules the thread according to their priority, known as preemptive scheduling. But it is not guaranteed because it depends on JVM specification that which scheduling it chooses. It can either be preemptive scheduling or time slicing scheduling. So, priority in multi-threading is number, and three constants are defined in thread class: public static int min priority, public static normal priority, and public static int maximum priority. By default, the priority of a thread is 5, normal priority. The value of a minimum priority is either 1 or 0, and the value of the maximum priority is 1. So let's take example of printing the priorities of a thread. So this is my general program to print the priority to print the priority of different threads. So this is my main class, which is extending to the thread class, test multi priority 1, which is extending to the thread class. This is my run function, and this is my main function. So I am creating here two uh, objects of my main class, and then setting the priority of a thread with the help of thread.minPriority and with the help of setPriority functions, which is invoked with the help of object of my main class, that is thread multi-priority 1. So in their argument, thread.minPriority is setting the priority of thread M1 to the minimum, and with M2, with the help of set priority and argument thread.maxPriority, I am setting the priority of my M2 thread to the maximum. Now starting the threads M1 and M2. The control further passes to the run method, where it will uh, print on screen that the thread running thread name is, and with the help of current thread method and dot get name method, current thread will tell the compiler that we are dealing with the current thread, and get name method will then get name method will further get the name of that thread, which is default set, and uh, get priority function is used to get the priority and to print it on screen. Get the priority of the thread and then to print it on screen. So running this program, okay, on running this program, this is the output. Running thread name is thread 0, and by the help of get name method, we get the name of that method, that name of that thread, that is thread 0, and M2, and the name of second thread is thread 1, and the priority of first thread, that is thread 0, is 1, and the which is set to minimum priority by me, and the priority of M2 thread, that is thread 1, is 10, which is set to maximum priority by me. So this is all in priorities of a thread. Thank you.